Picture this. A patrol SUV screeches up to my driveway at sunrise, lights flashing like I just robbed a bank. Out steps not some random deputy, but Karen's husband, badge shining, hand already resting on his belt like he's about to arrest my morning coffee. And right behind him struts Karen herself, arms folded so tight her fake pearls are screaming for mercy, that superior little smirk glowing brighter than her overpriced spray tan. "Ma'am," he drawls, tapping my gate like it's a crime scene. "You're forfeiting community privileges." HOA directive. They figured the uniform plus the clipboard would make me crumble. They figured wrong. Because this wasn't about swimming laps. This was about two egos deciding they could rewrite property law with attitude and a side of spite. And I'd spent 22 years in the Army learning exactly how far bullies fall when you stop playing their game. My name is Sarah Klein, retired Army captain, and I bought this slice of suburban heaven for one reason only: peace. No more deployments, no more 0400 wake-ups, just quiet mornings, my own yard, and yes, access to the community pool I paid dues for under a very specific amenities contract. My deed made it crystal clear. My actual property sits outside full HOA jurisdiction. The pool, gym, and clubhouse? Separate agreement only. No clipboard queen could touch my land or my rights. For the first 6 months it was heaven. Neighbors waved. Kids laughed on bikes. I'd wake before dawn out of habit, brew coffee, sit on my patio listening to sprinklers tick like a lullaby, then head to the pool for laps that felt like therapy. Water doesn't judge. Water doesn't gossip. Water just lets you breathe. Then Linda Hargrove, President Linda, moved in like a pastel hurricane. She wasn't elected so much as self-appointed after the last board member mysteriously stepped down, following one too many of her passive-aggressive emails. She patrolled the streets in yoga pants and a visor, measuring grass blades with a literal ruler she kept in her designer tote. Community standards aren't suggestions, darling. She'd coo at anyone whose trash can lid wasn't perfectly aligned. Behind her always loomed Mike, her husband, the off-duty cop who treated every HOA meeting like a SWAT briefing. Broad shoulders, permanent scowl, the kind of guy who needed strangers to notice his badge the way some people need oxygen. Power couple? More like a mutual delusion society of two. At first I ignored the side eye. I'd wave anyway. Smile anyway. But then the whispers started. She thinks she's special. Military types always act entitled. Wonder what she's really hiding. One by one, the same neighbors who'd once borrowed my hedge trimmer began crossing the street when they saw me coming. Kids stopped waving. Even the mailman started leaving my packages at the curb like I had cooties. Betrayal doesn't scream. It just settles in your chest like wet concrete. I knew who was planting the seeds. Karen's favorite hobby wasn't enforcing rules. It was curating enemies. And I'd just been promoted to public enemy number 1. The first official strike came in an email titled, New Access Compliance Initiative. Corporate speak for, we're coming for you. Access badges required renewal, random audits, temporary suspensions for verification. I read it poolside, water still dripping from my hair, and laughed once, sharp and short. Amateur hour. I'd read my contract the day I closed escrow. Twice. With a lawyer. So when I scanned my key the next morning and the gate clicked open like always, I didn't flinch when heels clicked across the deck behind me. "Oh, Sarah," Karen sang, voice dripping artificial sweetener. "Just doing a routine check. HOA updated standards for community safety. You know." She tilted her head like a condescending swan. "People like you really should appreciate how hard we work to keep things orderly." I kept swimming another lap before answering, voice calm. "My access agreement is separate from HOA governance, Linda. My property isn't under your rule. Check the deed." Her smile twitched, the first crack in the porcelain. "We all live here, dear. We all follow the same rules." "No," I replied, pulling myself out and toweling off without hurry. "We follow the rules we legally signed. There's a difference between a neighborhood and a cult." She left in stiff silence, but those heels sounded like gunfire now. Angry. Rattled. And that's when the real fun began. Fines started arriving like unwanted party guests. Improper landscaping on a lawn I kept tighter than my old barracks. Gate noise complaint on a hydraulic system quieter than a library. Then came the mailbox tampering. Latch bent, mail rifled through, nothing stolen, just violated. I documented every single thing. Photos. Timestamps. Ring camera clips of Karen's vice president creeping along my property line at dusk with a flashlight, snapping pictures like a budget paparazzo. I didn't rage. I filed. Quietly. The way you learn to do when real stakes are on the line. Neighbors stopped talking when I approached the pool. Forced smiles. Quick excuses. One brave soul whispered while pretending to adjust her towel, "She's telling everyone at meetings you think you're above the system." I just smiled back. I'm not above it. I'm outside it. Big difference. The watching escalated. Every morning Mike's patrol SUV idled at my curb, engine humming, sunglasses hiding eyes that never left my front door. I'd lift my coffee mug in a mock salute each time I passed. Let him stew. Let him wonder why the veteran wasn't shaking. One evening my camera caught Karen herself outside my gate, phone out, zooming in on my perfectly legal flower beds like they owed her money. I saved the footage with a quiet chuckle. Keep digging, Linda. You're just handing me the shovel. The HOA meeting that week was pure theater. Karen at the head table like a queen on a plastic throne, clipboard raised like a scepter. Mike loomed in back, arms crossed, performing intimidation like a community college acting class. When they announced my ongoing compliance issues and proposed suspending my pool privileges for the safety of the community, the room went graveyard silent. I sat there, spine straight, letting them dig their hole deeper. Every false accusation, every vague threat, every neighbor who wouldn't meet my eyes, I memorized it all. Because silence isn't weakness. Silence is a loaded gun with the safety off. Then came the morning everything exploded. The sun was just kissing the rooftops when I heard the tires. Same patrol SUV. Same lights. Same husband. Karen trailed behind on foot, clutching a manila envelope like it was the nuclear codes. Mike marched up, hand on belt, voice clipped. "We need your pool keys. Effective immediately." HOA directive. I took a slow sip of coffee, phone already recording in my pocket. "No. You don't." Karen's lips curled. "This isn't optional, Sarah. Your access is revoked. Hand them over or we'll have to escort you off community property." I smiled, the kind of smile that doesn't reach the eyes. "Incorrect. My deed excludes my parcel from HOA jurisdiction. My amenities contract guarantees access unless terminated by lawful cause. You have none." I pulled the county stamp jurisdiction letter from the folder I'd kept ready for weeks and held it up like Exhibit A in a courtroom drama. "This is official. Your little power trip ends here." Mike's jaw worked. Karen stepped closer, voice rising into that shrill register that probably cleared rooms at PDA meetings. "You think you can just ignore us? We run this neighborhood." I dialed the county sheriff's non-emergency line on speaker. Continued harassment report. Abuse of authority suspected. Off-duty officer involved. Need a unit. The dispatcher's voice crackled back confirmation. Karen's face went the color of spoiled milk. The siren arrived like divine timing. Not screaming, just deliberate. The deputy stepped out calm, professional, eyes scanning the circus. Karen rushed him like a shark smelling blood. "Officer, thank God. She's refusing to comply. She's dangerous. We're trying to secure the property." The deputy looked at the jurisdiction letter I handed over, eyebrows rising. Then he turned to Mike. "You're on duty right now?" "I'm assisting my wife in an official capacity," Mike blustered. The deputy's voice didn't rise, but the temperature dropped 20 degrees. "Civil matters are not law enforcement jurisdiction, sir. Using your badge for a private dispute? That's misuse of authority. Step away. Now." Neighbors started pouring out of houses, phones up, whispers turning into open conversation. The vice president, the same guy I'd caught creeping, suddenly found religion and muttered something about flagged financials and audit notice Karen told us to ignore. Gasps rippled. Karen spun on him, eyes wild. "You weren't supposed to say that." The deputy folded the paper and looked at both of them. "This is a civil violation, potential financial misconduct, and misuse of position. Formal report will be filed. Expect an audit. And you? He pointed at Mike. Will not involve that badge in HOA matters again. Karen's clipboard trembled. Her voice cracked. I was protecting the neighborhood. I worked harder than anyone. I spoke softly, letting the words land like hammer blows. You were protecting your ego. There's a difference. Her husband backed toward his cruiser like a dog with its tail tucked. Neighbors who'd avoided me for months now stared at her with new eyes. One older man stepped forward. You told us she was squatting. That she was dangerous. All lies. The collapse was beautiful in its ugliness. Karen's perfect posture crumbled. Tears, real ones this time, streaked her spray tan. You don't understand, I gave everything to this community. No, the deputy said flatly. You took everything. And now the county's going to take a long look at those books. In the days that followed, the neighborhood exhaled like it had been holding its breath for months. Certified letters arrived. County fines for the HOA, reimbursement orders for my legal fees. Every bogus citation wiped clean. A third-party manager was installed faster than Karen could say community standards. She was removed from the board, barred from re-election pending investigation. Mike? Forced administrative leave while internal affairs dug into the badge's weapon routine. The same man who once idled at my curb like a king now drove a plain civilian car with his head down. I didn't gloat. I just kept living. But the air felt different. Lighter. Birdsong louder. One afternoon the woman who used to cross the street when she saw me actually stopped, cheeks flushed. I'm sorry, she said quietly. We believed her. We were scared. I nodded once. Fear talks loud. Truth eventually talks louder. Brownies appeared on my doorstep with handwritten notes. Thank you for standing your ground. You made it safe for all of us. Kids started waving again. The pool chatter no longer died when I walked in. Real laughter echoed off the water instead of tight, suspicious murmurs. The real victory came one golden dawn when I walked to the pool with my original key, the same one they tried to rip from my hand. The gate beeped green. The water lay glass still, sparkling under soft underwater lights. I slid in and let the cool silence wrap around me. Every stroke felt like reclaiming something stolen. Halfway through my usual mile I floated on my back, staring at a sky turning pink, and whispered to no one. Peace always wins when you refuse to surrender it. But the story wasn't quite over. Because while Karen's throne had collapsed, the rot she left behind still needed cleaning. The new manager called me in for a quiet meeting. The amenity funds, she said, sliding over spreadsheets. They don't add up. Trips to spas charged as board retreats. Designer furniture for the clubhouse listed as community improvements. Your documentation helped flag it. I just smiled. I wasn't trying to burn the place down. I was trying to stop someone from burning it down from the inside. Word spread. Residents who'd once nodded along to Karen's nonsense started asking questions in the group chat. Where did the pool resurfacing money actually go? Why were our dues up 30% while the grass still looks like crap? The whispers that once poisoned me now turned on the real culprit. Karen's house, the one with the perfectly manicured lawn she'd weaponized against everyone else, suddenly had for sale signs planted like white flags. Mike's cruiser stopped appearing altogether. Last I heard he was riding a desk downtown while the investigation crawled forward at bureaucratic speed. I kept swimming. Kept documenting. Kept my peace like the treasure it was. One evening as I brought in the trash bin, the same older neighbor who'd once warned me by the pool now raised his coffee in salute. You didn't just fight for yourself, he called out. You fought for every single one of us who was too scared to speak up. I lifted my mug back. Quiet resistance speaks the loudest. The board meetings changed too. No more clipboards wielded like weapons. No more public shaming disguised as concerns. Just boring, transparent discussions about actual community needs. The kind of governance that should have existed all along instead of one woman's personal fiefdom. The new rules were simple, posted without fanfare. Measure grass with common sense, not rulers. Enforce real violations, not vendettas. And maybe, just maybe, treat neighbors like humans instead of subjects. Early one Saturday I sat poolside again. Not swimming yet, just watching sunlight dance across the water like liquid gold. Steam rose in lazy ribbons. Kids cannonballed at the shallow end, shrieking with pure joy. A dad tossed his little girl into the air and caught her mid-giggle. Normal. Beautiful. Mine again. A young mother approached with her daughter clutching goggles. I braced out of habit, but she surprised me. "Thank you," she said simply. "My little one loves this place." "You made it safe again." The girl peeked out and grinned. I smiled back. "Enjoy it. This space belongs to everyone, not just the loudest voice." She nodded, understanding flickering behind her eyes. Another neighbor crossed the street toward me instead of away, the same guy who once found his phone fascinating whenever I passed. He let out a long breath. "You didn't just stand up for yourself. You stood up for all of us who were too afraid to push back." I shrugged gently. Sometimes the quiet ones are the ones who actually read the fine print. As weeks turned to months, the last traces of Karen's reign dissolved. Notices were rewritten in plain English instead of legalese threats. Dues stayed reasonable. The audit results trickled out in public filings, enough irregularities to keep lawyers busy for years and ensure Linda Hargrove would never hold another clipboard in this zip code. Her house sold fast. The new owners? A quiet retired couple who waved and minded their own business. Revolutionary concept. One quiet morning I stood at my kitchen window watching the pool lights shimmer across the street, the same view that once felt under siege. Peace had returned, not as a fragile guest but as a permanent resident. I'd earned it twice now. Once with service overseas, once right here in my own backyard against an enemy wearing pearls and wielding parking citations. I never set out to be the neighborhood hero. I just refused to hand over what was mine because someone decided rules only applied when they felt like it. The irony? The same system Karen tried to weaponize ultimately buried her. Paperwork, jurisdiction, due process. The boring stuff tyrants always underestimate until it bites them in the designer yoga pants. So here's the question that keeps me up at night sometimes, and maybe it'll keep you thinking too. Was I the villain for daring to read my own contract and defend my legal rights? Or was Karen the real criminal for turning a homeowners association into her personal kingdom of fear? Who really crossed the line? The woman who stayed silent until she had proof, or the one who abused power, spread lies, and dragged a badge into a pool key dispute? Drop your verdict in the comments. Because the next time an HOA Karen comes for your slice of paradise, you might be the one holding the stamped letter and the recording phone. And trust me, quiet strength doesn't just win. It wins so completely the bullies never recover. Thanks for watching. If this story hit home, smash that like button, subscribe for more HOA nightmares turn satisfying takedowns, and tell me in the comments. What's the most ridiculous rule your HOA ever tried to enforce? Stay strong out there. Your peace is worth fighting for, even if the fight starts with nothing louder than the truth. See you in the next one.